How's it going? So I'll show you the video. It reminded me of the Git Good Kids and the Trolls online, where, like, look at how the dogs behave when the fence is closed. So when the dogs fully understand that they are safe and the other person cannot get them, this is what they do. And then watch what happens when you open the fence. Okay? Check it out. I'll link in the description below. Here is a group example. One sec. Okay? So behind the keyboard, they are like, come at me, dude. I am a faker. I'm going to whip your ass. And then you open the gate and you say, hey, here is my email. Go ahead. I'm looking forward to the challenge. Because I personally want to know if I'm wrong. Or I want to know how do you actually deal with a hard counter. So on Aram, it's a very good example. Tryndamere is hard counter to everyone, because there's no counterpick. So I want to know what type of strategies, because you have to remember, I have 15,000 games one-on-one. I've been playing for 6+ years now, one-on-one. I want to know what actually counters it, and I don't think there is. So I made a video. You remember I left my email. It has over 100 views now, the video. Not a single person has contacted and said, hey, let's organize one-on-one. Let's play. I'll show you the way. A bit unfortunate, but it is what it is, you know. So the second thing I want to talk about is, well, let me make 1 second. Yeah, so this is like this thing here. Too bad all people who know how to run the country, the experts, are busy driving taxi cabs and cutting hair. So this is kind of the same example of, too bad that all of those guys who are rank 1 players and better than Faker can climb at 100% win rate, never losing a single game, are too busy writing comments in the YouTube section. So I'd love to see some examples, you know. Alright, so this was this part here. I'll probably need to link in the description below. Alright, so the second part I want to talk about would be Trolls and Git Good Kids. Well, these are probably Git Good Kids, these guys here. And here, like, Trolls are... So basically, I watched this video about... I watched multiple videos about people just basically finding out the... Like, this lady, she almost ended her life because of internet trolls, because they write a lot of stuff. And then she went ahead and confronted the people that wrote the negative comments. And what you find about these guys is exactly as I thought. They are on the lower end of the human development index. So you see that they don't really have their life together. So what they do is they're venting. Like when you meet like if you have a lot of anger build up inside of you, sometimes people lose control over their bodies and they start behaving in irrational manner. Sometimes they binge eat food, binge eat, I don't know, start doing drugs, I don't know. They just lose control over their body and they start doing weird shit. So it can manifest itself in many different ways. So a lot of those trolls are just venting through the keyboard. So you just have to understand that they're not doing it specifically to offend you. It's just a channel for them to express their anger with their life by throwing it at you to some extent. And you have to understand, I don't think they are rational when they do it. Like, their anger overtakes them and they just lose control over the body and they just start... Like, listen to what this guy says. This guy says, I don't even mean half of the time what I say. So let's just listen.
For what you are. That's what I do. I expose people like you.
And I don't necessarily mean what I tweet half the time. It's not. It's what my Twitter is basically just a bit of fun.
Most reasons.
So you see, he's saying like it's just a fun way, you know. It's like it gives them some kind of dopamine or some kind of release, right? So do you see that? That's what he's saying. Is like he doesn't really mean it. It's just like it's just a way to vent and just get the anger out. So I'm just saying that, you know, because there were people asking like, how do you deal with this stuff rationally? And the answer to that is there is no way to deal with it rationally, because you are dealing with an irrational person. Imagine like a person on the street, he's a little bit crazy, and he's just like literally screaming at every person that ever crosses his path. So he can come up to you and be like, hey, you know, I don't like your sweater or whatever, I don't like your haircut or hair, blah, blah, blah. You have to understand, just say, okay, that's fine, thank you for your time. I'll consider your report and make adjustments accordingly. Do you understand? Like, you just have to accept the fact that they are throwing anger at you, and it's really nothing to do with you. It's just that their life is a little bit messed up, and they are just like venting it on you. So just accept it, just fine. You know, if you want to help those guys, just maybe. I honestly, sometimes they can get aggressive, so the best way is just to agree and move along. Just agree, just say, okay, thank you for your feedback. It's really appreciated. It's very, very good. I'll consider it. Thanks so much for your time. And move on, right? Move on. Otherwise, you know, if you start arguing with them, ooh, you're just giving him... it's not gonna end well, you know. So just agree and move on. You know, just agree and move on. Okay, so just agree and move on. And then the third one are the cultists. So when you say something, let's say, I don't know, I'm gonna make a video on this, but people have a flaw. Like, people, there is a flaw with humans, which is if you say something to the person 25 plus times, they start believing it with no factual evidence for it to be there. Do you understand? Like, if you repeat to a person that water boils at 1000 degrees Celsius, you can build a cult if a lot of people agree with you, even though it's factually wrong. Now, sometimes when you provide evidence that what they believe in is false, they will start attacking you. Because, especially when we talk about cults where there is no basis for the belief. So let's say, I don't know, somebody believes that gremlins are invisible creatures that do exist, but there is no way to prove it and disprove it, right? So when you provide evidence that, you know, gremlins in fact never existed, like, they will get very, very offended and they will start attacking you. So, well, let me think, one sec. So this will happen in like in the world of cultists a lot, because a lot of the times there is no basic factual evidence to justify their belief system. Believing in something, like whatever, fairies, whatever, right? And if you make presentation that they don't exist, they are just... You see, what you're doing is you're shaking up the belief that is very weak, that the belief is very weak. The easiest beliefs... well, I'll give you an example, okay? It's probably best to explain with an example. If somebody comes up to me and they say, you're stupid because you believe that the water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. You are stupid because my mentor told me that it boils at 250 Celsius. I'm going to think to myself, good stuff, alright? Now, you can boil water and measure the temperature, and believe me when I tell you it's gonna be 100 Celsius. It's not gonna be 250. But you can believe whatever the hell you want. This is your right. Believe in whatever the hell you want. It will not offend me in any way because my belief is based on factual evidence, right? So when a person starts getting very, very emotional over some kind of a belief system, I can probably say that there is no factual basis for that, and it's just like he is believing in it just to be part of a group. And he gets this aggressive reaction because he's afraid that by agreeing with you, he will get rejected in the group. You have to remember that humans, at the end of the day, we are not evolved to live in cities. We are not evolved for the level of technological development. Our emotional circuitry is designed to live in a society, in basically in jungle, with society no more than maybe 50 to 100 people, like a tribe, right? So getting rejected from the tribe means death most of the time. So this is why you get this reaction, because they think that they're going to die. Now, it most of the time happens to people who are on the lower end of human development index because they struggle to deal with their emotions. Like, there is a term called emotional intelligence, another word for it is discipline. You notice that people on the higher level of human development index, they tend to be very, very good at handling emotions, whatever they are. Whereas people who are on the lower, they struggle with their emotions. So you see, when they get emotional, they don't know how to rebalance their body very, very, very quickly. They just like those emotions rush into the chemicals, rush into their head, and they start acting on it, thinking that it's the way to do, as opposed to taking a couple of deep breaths, activating your rational brain, and start thinking, okay, what are we talking about in here? Do you understand? As opposed to they're just like lashing out anger, and their lower reptilian brains activate, and then they start basically getting into fight or flight chemical brain composition, and they start just literally just arguing with each other. There is, like, if you listen to most of the arguments, it's just some kind of emotional mumbo jumbo, and they're just like start bringing up like weird stuff that has nothing to do with the argument, but they're just angry, and they're just like, it happens. Do you know what I'm saying? So when you're dealing with these guys, like, again, it's pointless to try to rationally talk to these guys, because you have to understand that their belief systems are not really based on the reality. They're more based on being part of the group. They're happy there. There's no reason for them to leave. There is no benefit probably of leaving because they're gonna be lonely. So just let them be there, like, as long as it's not a big deal. I mean, in most of our societies, I mean, all the bad things that can happen to them, unlikely gonna happen to them. They can't get financially ruined because, I mean, all developed countries have social programs. They get emotional support for free most of the time. I mean, those guys, like, even if you look at these videos, you see that when she confronts the trolls, I mean, they work in McDonald's, even less than McDonald's sometimes. So you have to understand that these guys are just like agree with them and say, okay, thank you for your time, have a good day, Just agree and move on. Just agree and move on, So I'm just saying that, don't take that stuff personally, and to some extent you can kind of maybe pity them because they don't have their life together, so they're trying to throw this negative anger just at you. So just accept it, I suppose, and just that it is what it is, it is what it is. So, yep, that's my stuff for today. I'll link the videos in the description below. And yeah, take care, bye-bye.